to Nite Line. We're so glad that you're joining us tonight. As you can see, I'm Toni Suchka, but this is not Mary. No, this is my husband. We thought since it was Valentine's night that I would bring my Valentine.
And I'm happy to be here.
Yes, this is our first time of doing this together, so we're excited. I'm glad that you're here with us.
Well, I'm glad I'm here too.
And my mom is at home with my children. She is staying with them tonight, so I know that they're enjoying that. So hello, guys. Hope you're enjoying time with Gam. Just wanted to give my mom a night off tonight. So this is her first Valentine that since my dad has passed, and so we just wanted to honor her and give her some time to really just make it through this time. And every first is kind of a new thing for us and our family to experience. So, but she's at home being loved on by my two kids, I'm sure. My son is a hugaholic, so he is loving all over his Gam tonight, I know. So anyway, we hope that you are excited for tonight, because we are. We have some fantastic guests tonight, and you are going to want to stay tuned for the entire show. I want to introduce them all, and they're all ready to just give you a little hello. Our first guests, we're going to have Pastor Dennis and Susan Wells. They are campus pastors of Hope Church in Simpsonville, and we're excited to have them on tonight. We also have Pastor Rich and JoAnna Butler, lead pastor of Hope in Simpsonville and in Spartanburg. And he is no stranger to you guys. He's been on with us several times, so I know that you're looking forward to hearing from him again. And then we also have Dr. Laurel Shaler here tonight. She has written a fantastic book on relationship, and I'm excited to hear what she has to share from that. And then we also have music that's going to be from Max and Lynsie. They're going to be singing tonight. And also Dennis and Susan are going to be singing. You know, I've never heard them sing together, so
I'm looking forward to that.
We were talking about it. I was like, you know, I always hear Susan kind of come up on the stage when she takes over for prayer and starts singing. One Sunday I was just worshiping, and I heard a voice I wasn't familiar with, and I opened. I was like, well, that's Susan Wells singing.
Oh, she does a good
So
job.
I had to ask, hey, can you guys sing on the show? And she was like, absolutely. So we're excited to hear from them. But our show tonight is just going to be on love, with it being Valentine's Day. We've got some beautiful flowers as well. I wanted to thank English Gardens for providing just incredible arrangements for us tonight. If you are still looking to send flowers, you know, Valentine's kind of goes through the whole weekend, so call English Gardens. They do a fantastic job, and they sent these arrangements over here for us, and so I'm just so happy that we have that tonight on the set. I wanted to read our scripture, and then I'm going to let you guys get to know my Valentine a little bit. But our scripture is from 1 Corinthians 13. And this is from the Passion Translation. It's verse 4 through 7, and I love how this reads. It's so beautiful. It says, love is large and incredibly patient. Love is gentle and consistently kind to all. It refuses to be jealous when blessings come to someone else. Love does not brag about one's achievements, nor inflate its own importance. Love does not traffic in shame and disrespect, nor selfishly seek its own honor. Love is not easily irritated or quick to take offense. Love joyfully celebrates honesty and finds no delight in what is wrong. Love is a safe place of shelter, for it never stops believing the best for others. Love never takes failure as defeat, for it never gives up. I have never read that in the Passion Translation until I brought it up for the show, and I just thought it was a beautiful translation. I love how it says, where is it? Love does not brag about one's achievements nor inflate its own importance. It's not jealous of the blessings that come to others. And you know, it's a scripture that you can think about day to day in your actions, like whether you're with your family or you're at work or whatever. Like, was that love kind? Was that love nice? Was it jealous? Was it patient? So I guess when we think of it like that and say those things out loud, it can remind us of how our actions seem to others. Are they in love? So Anyway, beautiful scripture. I wanted to let you guys kind of get to know my husband a little bit. He's been on with us a couple times, typically on Christmas shows you've been on. But why don't you share a little bit about yourself to our viewers so they can kind of get to know you a little bit.
Okay, well, I'm actually an Army brat. I was born in Naples, Italy, and we lived in Germany, Japan, all over the United States, and settled in California in 1977.
And your mom was always like, we met at, well, we'll get to that, but your mom was always in ministry and sang, and your dad was in men's ministry, so you kind of grew up in the church as you were like a young child, teenage years.
I was saved at 7 years old. So I've definitely grown up to it. My dad was part of a ministry called Intercessors for Africa, so I've been around it since I was a child.
Yeah. So the first time we ever met, we were at Knott's Berry Farm.
Yes, we were.
Do you remember the year?
1988.
1988.
October.
We were it was like a Christian night at Knott's Berry Farm, and we were in line. We didn't know each other. I was with my cousin, and he was with the youth pastor and some other friends for Imperial's concert.
That's right.
I remember that. So that was the first time we had seen each other. Didn't realize we went to the same church even. Do you remember the first time we ever like spoke to one another?
I do. Actually, your mom and dad was doing a service at the church, and you were at the record table, before there was
record table,
before
yes.
CDs and MP3 players. But I walked up, my Letterman's jacket, my white gloves.
Yeah.
I think my first words were, "How you doing?"
Yeah. I remember that. I would always stand at the table and hold the any kind of, records or whatever we had. And so that was the day that the Lord put us in each other's lives. That was a long, long time ago.
It was a long time ago.
So I know that you have an incredible story of how you came here.
Mm-hmm.
You moved to South Carolina. I had visited in California on and off, visited his sister.
Yeah.
I knew how to get to know him. But through years, we had visited through the summer, and you finally decided, I'm going to move to South Carolina. Let's see how we can pursue this relationship. How did that feel? You moved here with one bag of clothes and $1,000.
I did. Well, $1,000 might not sound like a lot of money, but where I came from, $1,000 was everything. So it was easy for me to get on a plane and move out here, and I didn't realize how much $1,000 actually went until I got here. Because, you buy a car for $600, and then you get an apartment at the time for $300.
And we learned never buy a car that's already started when you get there.
That's true. Hey, but it lasted a while.
It did. It
so
came
it
in
nice.
handy for the purpose it was needed.
It did.
And, I remember when shortly after you moved here, we were at lunch with my parents.
That's right.
And you were talking to my dad,
That's
which could be very intimidating.
Very much so.
And he asked you a question, and I think from his perspective, he just meant, so what are your plans here? And all you heard was...
I heard something a little different. It's like, what are you here with my daughter? What are you going to do with her? What's your future with her? And I really didn't know what to say. I just said, I just came here to, hopefully one day marry your daughter. And it worked out.
And, you didn't know him well, but in the end, he became... You guys were very close.
He was a great friend of mine. Great friend of mine. He loved me like no one's ever loved me. With all the junk that I came from, he didn't care. He spent as much time as he could with me, purposely, until I was able to find where I needed to be.
Right.
So it was nice.
And someone else that I know really just poured into you. You moved here, and it was my brother-in-law, who is your brother-in-law.
Yes.
He poured into you. He loved you like a brother the first time he ever met you.
He was probably one of the only guys who came to me, and at first he was like, I don't know what this kid's going to do. But he sat me down, he poured into me, he taught me his business, which in turn helped me in the future of the business that I've ended up getting into. So
I know you've come a long way, and I'm just so thankful that the Lord brought you here. We had some pictures we wanted to share, just kind of going down memory lane. We've got a picture of when Brad and I think you had graduated high school.
I did.
And we were at Disneyland for grad night.
Yes.
Yes.
That was a Zeke Cavarici suit, by the way.
So, and then in 2000, we married, and we are coming up on 19 years in April. So I'm excited to celebrate 19 years with you. We have a picture of our wedding. I think we are aging through these pictures, definitely.
Oh, yeah.
And then we have, in our 19 years, had 2 beautiful children.
We do.
Chase is 15, Addison
Addison's
is 11.
They're there, right
And
there.
we're very, very proud of them. That was from this Thanksgiving.
Yes.
This Thanksgiving. So they are great kids. We're proud of them. And I'm just thankful you're my Valentine. You know, I got him hot sauce for Valentine's because it said, I'm hot for you. And it had 4 different hot sauces in it because he likes
did.
hot sauce.
I do.
So, and he brought me beautiful roses today. So
I always
I'm
gotta-
very thankful that after 19 years, you still bring
bring
me
you roses.
flowers.
Well, you're important to me.
I appreciate that. And he also brought our little girl flowers. We got to make sure she knows what to expect, right?
Amen. That is right.
So if you're just joining us, we're so excited. First of all, I want you to go on Facebook and share the show. There may be someone that's not local that can't watch this on their television, so go ahead, share the show. That way it opens it for many viewers. We've got people that watch from all over the country, and we're at Nite Line Live with Mary and Toni, or you can go to WGGS TV on Facebook and let other people be blessed. We're going to be talking about relationships and marriages, whether you've been married many years or you're in just your first years of marriage. And then we've also got Laurel Shaler here in our last half hour. She's written a book called Relational Reset, and she's going to be talking about relationships in general. So I know that you're not going to miss that because, you know, it's not just about relationships with your spouse. It's about relationships with everyone around you. They need to be healthy. So anyway, I hope you stay tuned for the whole hour and a half. But right now we're going to go to a song with Dennis and Susan Wells called Perfect.
Well, I found a love for me. Darling, just dive right in and follow my lead. I found a girl, beautiful and sweet. I never knew you were the someone waiting for me. 'Cause we were just kids when we fell in love, not knowing what it was. I will not give you up this time. Darling, just kiss me slow. Your heart is all I know, and in your lies you're holding mine. And baby, I'm dancing in the dark with you between my arms, barefoot on the grass, listening to our favorite song. When you said you looked a mess, I said underneath my breath, but you heard it. You look perfect tonight.
Well, I found a man stronger than anyone I know. He shares my dreams, my hopes, my treasures, and now our home. I found a love to carry more than just my secrets, to carry love, to carry children of our own.
We are still kids, but we're so in love, fighting against all odds. I know we'll be all right this time. Darling, just hold my hand.
I'll be your girl.
I'll be your man. I see your future in your eyes. Baby, I'm dancing in the dark with you between my arms, barefoot on the grass, listening to our favorite song. I have faith in what I see. I have faith in what I see. I have faith in what I see. Now I know I have met an angel in person, and you look perfect. I don't deserve it, but you look perfect tonight.
Well, they must like each other.
Just a little.
That was great. They're going to come join us, and we're going to talk to them for a few minutes. But first, I had a question for Brad. Brad, do you know what my favorite color is?
It's easy. It's pink.
Oh, yes.
Okay. So I've got a question for you.
Okay.
What's my favorite food?
Ooh, Mexican? Italian.
Yes.
Okay. I love your Mexican,
Yes.
and you cook it so well. It made me, but Italian, I do remember.
I love Italian
I got
food.
you. I got you.
Good.
Well, hello, Dennis and Susan. Thank you so much for being with us tonight.
Yeah.
I wanted to tell a little bit about you guys. You guys are the campus pastors at Hope Simpsonville.
Yes.
And you also work in the medical field.
Yes.
And Dennis, you are also a professional counselor. So you guys are juggling several different things.
Yep.
So-
Yep. Yep.
Well, I wanted to do a little something with you guys too.
Okay.
Okay, first tell us how long you've been married.
37
37
and a half years.
And a
Okay, and we have
half,
a
yeah.
picture of your wedding day that you guys
Okay.
sent, so they can pop that up.
Yeah.
And tell me how many children you have, how many grandchildren.
We have 3 adult children that are all married. Oh, wow, we are really young.
That's very good. See the very
Oh,
good
my
thing?
I do. And your hair's brown.
Yeah. And we have 5 grandchildren, and we are extremely happy to
Wow.
be Poppy and QQ to one group of grandchildren, and Poppy and Goo Goo to another.
It just however it comes out is
That's
what it
right.
ends up
They get to
being,
call
right?
us what
Yeah,
they want.
that's
Yes,
right.
And we have there's your family right
Yeah.
there.
Oh,
That's so precious. I love
Yeah.
seeing
Good
that.
group.
Just like 2 people grow into such
That's
a
right.
beautiful
Yeah.
family. Well, I wanted to do a little test and
Yep.
see just how much you do know about each other, since you both think each other is so perfect.
Yeah.
So, okay, Susan, what's Dennis's favorite time of year and why?
oh, that's easy.
Oh, yes, easy. Fall. Because of the colors. Football.
Yeah, man.
Thank you.
Amen.
Football.
First.
Yeah, he goes into mourning when college football's over, and then professional, and then he enjoys basketball, but then he calls the summer the dark season.
Yeah.
And we have the countdown until football season
Yeah,
starts.
that's true. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, you
Yeah.
passed on that one.
That's
Yeah.
right. Well, Dennis, I have a question for you.
Oh, here we go.
Okay. What is Susan's favorite holiday and why?
I'm going to say Thanksgiving,
Okay.
because it has to do with food, family, and
Yeah.
faith.
Yes, it
good.
does.
That's a sermon.
Yeah.
right?
That's right.
It is. You put that together. 37 years and you know a little bit about each other, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
All right. Well,
So, what was your first impression of each other?
Go ahead.
Be
well,
honest.
Be
oh,
honest.
well,
Be honest. Use your
I
words.
remember walking into a friend's house, and we were going to be singing together, because we've been singing together for over 38 years. Yeah.
True.
And I walked in, and there's this long, lanky, he looked like a country western singer, because he had the beard and the hair. He's leaned back in a chair, and he was strumming the guitar. And I walked in the house, and I thought,
Took your breath away.
no. I said, oh, nice to meet you. And I walked onto the back, because my friend had a room that he'd set up for practicing music. And Dennis was like,
I wasn't used to that.
he wasn't used
Because
to
normally girls would at least stop and talk because I had the guitar.
Come on.
But she just totally blew it off and kept walking.
that. I was like, focus, focus, focus.
I know.
Yeah.
She
yeah.
was focused.
I was-
Still is.
Yeah,
I know
very
because
much.
when you said you guys sang, you were like, yeah, that's how we met. He
Yeah.
was playing guitar and.
He
Yep.
was my guitar player.
Yep.
Yep.
Mutual
What about
friend.
you?
Well, same kind of thing, because obviously I saw her
Right.
that day. But, you know, if we're being transparent, I was 25, she was 17, which sounds kind of creepy coming out now.
Listen.
And having had daughters.
We understand.
Oh, do you? Okay.
Yeah.
When we met, I was 13 and he was 17.
I was 17.
Yeah, that's even
And it
creepier.
didn't
Wow.
sound right. It didn't sound right at all.
Wow.
So,
Our girls asked, Mom, can we do that? I said, nope.
Yeah, exactly. We put that law in place real quick.
Yep.
But so anyway, so I saw her that night, and then we started going together on weekends with a group to minister at different churches. And I would play the guitar, and she would sing and that kind of thing. Of course, we became friends, and I knew she was young and, you know, hanging out. I kept having several of my friends go, "Why don't you ask Susan out?" I said, "I'll go to jail. She's 17. You know, that's illegal or something." But so anyway, in February of 1981, I finally got the nerve to accept her invitation to go to the movies.
Yeah, he says, "You asked me out." I said, "I invited you to go to a group to the movies."
She did.
I did, and he said, "Call me." So okay. So when I get home from school, I called him, and he goes, "Well, you want to ride together?" I'm like, "Okay."
Yeah.
I'm not thinking about it being a date. He goes,
Right.
"Would you like to get something to eat?" Okay. I mean, I'm not even thinking about this being a date. And then when he picks me up, I'm like, I think maybe this is a date. But I
It
thought he
sounds
was
like
just so
it.
cute. He was just so cute.
I love
Yeah.
hearing that background about you guys. Now, you guys pastored before. You've pastored other churches. Now, what's the difference now as pastoring when you guys were younger and pastoring now? How is it different?
Well, we have the scars to show it. I think this season of life has been awesome to be part of Hope Church, and you know, I don't have the responsibility for the bottom line like I would if it was just our church.
Right.
Okay, and so now I'm able to focus on people more and invest in training and mentoring, and just, you know, a lot of young guys that are in the ministry, and that's my heartbeat, is to minister to these guys and just love on people, and it's been a great time.
And as you get older, I mean, you really learn what's really important, and you think, yeah, you know what, I would have made a huge deal out of that in the past. It's like, no, just let it go. Let it go. Don't. You need to know what mountains to die on. And the wisdom that comes with age is like, and the heart. I have that same heart he has to just pour in. I feel I have such an obligation that the Titus 2 model of pouring in older women, and I'm now in that group, pouring into younger women and teaching them, just modeling for them through life and words. You know, this is how you love God. This is how you love your home. You want to create a home where, first of all, Jesus is welcome, that he feels welcome. And then, you know, for me, I want to create a home of peace and beauty for us to enjoy. And then how to love your kids. And of course, now I've learned what to do, what not to do. I've been through every stage with children, and now with grandchildren. And now I find with my grandchildren, my kids come to me and, "Mom, you would have never let us just." It's not worth making a big deal about.
That's how it works.
It's-
Yeah.
Well, why don't you share with us a testimony of what you went through and how God restored your marriage?
Yeah. Gosh, it's been 18 years now, almost. Yeah. We were pastoring a church in Columbia that we had been sent to. When we arrived, there were 5 people in attendance, and the sanctuary seated 300. And so we were tasked with revitalizing that church. And so we labored, and I'll say we labored for about 7 years, and got a viable body of people, and was impacting the city, doing a lot of different things, conferences and that kind of thing. And you know, the enemy's going to come in to kill, steal, and destroy. That's his job. I think sometimes he'll get surprised, but that's his job. Okay, and so he got into there to our relationship, and you know, I didn't realize that Susan was feeling maybe insignificant, or how would you word that?
Not valued.
Not valued.
Yeah.
You know,
And you know, you hear that a lot with the pastors in churches, because as a pastor, you get overwhelmed with the people
right.
and caring for people. And I've heard that the marriage can get lost, and it's so important to, like you said, keep your home stable with Jesus being invited into it, and then from there. So, go ahead.
Yeah, and I didn't realize she was feeling that way. I felt like we had really good boundaries in place as far as people in the church and all of that, but it was much deeper than that.
Well, I think I have shared in a past time here about just my walk with Jesus was really a works-based. I didn't know anything about grace because I gave my heart to Jesus when I was almost 10. How much sin can you have committed, before the age of 10? And I just didn't know about grace. So there was a lot of a foundation of works, perfection. I'm a firstborn. And it was a lot about maintaining perfection. And perfection is a tough taskmaster. It's ruthless. It's merciless. It's graceless. And over time, I felt that there was something inside. Like, if anybody really knew what I was dealing with on the inside, the demons that I was wrestling on the inside, the darkness that I was trying to keep under wraps of perfection, they would excommunicate me from the church. That's my thought. And I thought, I can't tell anybody about what I'm dealing with. And long story short, I didn't have the boundaries in place that I should have in relationships. And I fell into an adulterous relationship. I fell into that, but I didn't fall into it with my eyes closed. And for a season, I left my home, I left my husband, I left my children. I moved out. Eventually, that relationship ended, and my heart was broken, and I was crushed, obviously, because you just don't think that's going to happen. And I felt away from the Lord. And I remember one night laying in bed. My youngest was staying the night with me, and there was a Michael W. Smith concert on television. It had to have been the Lord, and I had it on, and my Anna was asleep beside me, and the presence of the Lord filled that bedroom. And all of a sudden, I felt a love. I don't know that I've ever felt that before. I felt just love, the love of God. And I remember crying and saying, Lord, can I please come back into your presence again? I would give anything if I could just come back into your presence again. And I felt him come there and meet with me. And it was like, all of a sudden it wasn't about what I did. That wasn't what determined my worth. My worth is determined by what someone was willing to pay for me.
Right.
And he gave his son for me. And that was my journey, knowing what grace was. And then he showed me the love of Jesus like I've never seen before. It was Jesus with skin on.
Wow.
He loved me, and he pursued me. And we split after our 20th wedding anniversary. And on our 22nd wedding anniversary, with our children present, we renewed our vows, and it was a worship service. So our children surrounded us and laid hands on us and prayed, and it was precious.
I love that.
Yeah, it was just
What a story
Jesus.
of restoration, of how the Lord, the enemy, like you said, is out to steal, kill, and destroy us. And anyway, no matter if you're in ministry or you're in the secular world, it doesn't matter.
That's right.
But
Even
the
more
Lord
so.
can take,
Yeah.
anything and turn it around.
Yes.
And I know you wrote a book called The Intentional Marriage.
Yes.
I've got it right here. We're going to be giving one of these away as well.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about the book and who it's for.
Anybody that's married,
Yes.
pretty much. We were, as a pastor up until that point, I just kind of thought that psychology was a bunch of baloney and, psychobabble and counseling. Why don't you just pray through it and ask God to forgive you and move on? But I've found out in going through this ordeal, I went to counseling, Susan went to counseling, we went to a marriage counselor, our kids went to a counselor, and I realized the value of that and what you could do in those sessions that couldn't be done just the two of us. There was just too much damage there, and these counselors help. And so that led me to become a licensed professional counselor. And so when I'm sitting with couples now, and they're dealing with adultery or separation or even
exactly
I know
what they're
exactly
going
what
through.
they're feeling, and I've been on both sides of it. So the book kind of encompasses some of the things that we've talked about when we've done marriage conferences. We were we were doing marriage conferences and meetings and things of that nature, and people were asking, hey, can we get copies of your notes? And, and so finally it was like, well, let's just write a book. And so several years ago, we wrote that, and we've got churches now that's used it as Bible study material and different things, and it's been a real blessing.
Well, we're going to give one of these away. I'm going to go ahead and give it away now. So if you know if you want it, or you know of someone this would be great for, we're going to take the first caller for this. I think it's almost a stigma in the church that you shouldn't get counseling because someone might find out you got problems, and especially with people in ministry. It's got to be a secret, but you're right. Like, we all need counseling if we come down to it.
That's right.
We're all a little dysfunctional, I think.
Oh, yes. Yes.
So I love that the Lord took what you guys went through, shifted your career, and is now using you to pour into others from experience.
Yes.
And Susan has written several chapters as well in the book about good health, taking care of yourself, even protecting your marriage.
Yes.
We talk about communication, talk about some of the myths of marriage.
And do you have a website that people can go to?
Yeah, it's theintentionalmarriage.net.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I guess if anybody would love for y'all to come speak into marriages,
Well, I'll have to ask my boss. But yeah.
I'll talk to him. He's a friend of mine.
Yeah, that's right. Me too.
Well, thank you so much
Thank
for
you.
being with us and just being vulnerable to share just something that's personal to you guys, but being willing to share your story. So other people out there, they're going through this and they may not know where to turn or may think that hope is gone.
That's right.
But you're a walking testimony. And I just want you to know personally from Brad and I, we love you guys. That's
Love
why
you
we sit
guys, too.
behind you at church.
Yeah.
One day we're going to be you and we're going to sit right up there in the front row. We love
Going
you
for
guys.
Jesus,
We
that's
just
right.
respect you and honor you so much and appreciate you being here
We
with
love you.
us.
Well, I love
Yeah,
you guys. Y'all are
love you.
great.
And I know you're going to be singing some more through the night, so we're going to look forward to that. But right now we have Max and Lynsie. They're going to be singing Closer.
Your love has ravished my heart and taken me over. It's taken me over. And all I want is to be with you forever. With you forever. Oh, yeah. So pull me a little closer and take me a little deeper. I wanna know your heart. I wanna know your heart. 'Cause your love is so much sweeter than anything I've tasted. I wanna know your heart. I wanna know your heart. Whoa, 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 how great your love is for me. Whoa, 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 how great is your love. Whoa, whoa, how great your love is for me. Whoa, whoa, how great is your love. 'Cause I can never run from your love. I can never hide from your love. I can never run from your love further than you'll find me. I can never run from your love. I can never hide from your love. I can never run from your love further than you'll find me. So pull me a little closer and take me a little deeper. I wanna know your heart. I wanna know your heart. 'Cause your love is so much stronger than anything I've faced. And I wanna know your heart. I wanna know your heart.
Thank you, guys. That was so pretty. Lynsie has such a beautiful voice. They're going to be singing more later, so stay tuned. I was just looking on Facebook, and I see we've got some friends watching. We've got actually JoAnna's sister, Elise, watching. Hey! And Tish Jordan. She's been on here before singing, so we appreciate you guys tuning in on Facebook. Be sure to share that on your page so others can tune in. But we have some great friends of ours here tonight, Rich and JoAnna Butler. Thank y'all for coming. I don't think you've ever been on together.
I know.
You've been on a ladies' night, and you've been on many times, and so I appreciate you guys taking time out of your schedule
Thanks for
to
having
come over here. I know you guys are very busy between life, work, kids,
Soccer.
soccer.
That's right.
For to
We're
come
glad
over
to be
here.
here.
Yes, I'm so glad that you're here. Now, tell us how long you've been married.
20 and a half years.
20 and
20 and a half.
So we got 37 and a half, 20 and a half.
Throwing that half.
That half now. That half's important.
It means a
Now,
lot.
what year did you guys meet?
Oof.
Ooh, I don't. I know what age. We were like 13 and 14. So what is that?
We
Oh,
got
wow.
married in 98.
Yeah.
Okay.
So-
But now I have a picture of when you guys, I think you said it was after you first got married. You're in like a
Yes.
football uniform. They're going to have to throw that one up.
There it is.
There we go.
Yep.
I love it. So you guys were married then.
Yes.
We were
had
married
just
then.
gotten married.
Yep.
That was the fall after.
I played junior college football for 2 years. We got married, moved to Charleston, and well, we went on our honeymoon, and then the next week I started football practice. So
That was interesting.
that was
fun.
interesting. Yeah, I don't advise it.
And so now you have 4 children.
We do.
Ellis
Ellis
go
is
ahead.
14, and then Mary Ellis is 9, and Mac is 7, and Camp is 5.
Sweet. Now that's from this past fall, correct?
Thanksgiving, yes.
I love it. Beautiful, beautiful family. I love your kids. They're so
Thank
sweet.
you.
Well, I want to ask you your little trick question here to see how well you know.
I got kind of nervous.
Rich. I know. I told him I was going to ask him, so he's like, "What? We didn't talk about that."
Yeah.
It's easy. Okay, JoAnna, what's Rich's favorite type of food and least favorite food?
Ooh. His least favorite is souse meat, right?
What
meat.
is?
What's sauce meat?
We're from North Mississippi.
Yeah.
We eat anything,
Yeah.
and so I don't. I
It's like
like
gray
the
Jell-O,
normal
but it's
cuts. I don't
nasty.
like the weird cuts of meat.
So what's his favorite? Do you know his favorite?
I would say Chinese or Indian food.
It's good.
Okay.
It's good.
Good job.
Okay. Okay.
I took it.
Well, Rich, what's JoAnna's favorite? Favorite and least favorite color?
Oh,
That's
I would say her favorite color is. Let's go with.
Let's go with.
Let's go with green. Is it green? Is it green?
Is it mustard? Mustard?
Is it?
that is
Yeah.
Mustard's her favorite color. Yeah, her least favorite color is
Listen, you're fired.
pink. Pink.
All right, we're
I'm
going to
not
send you
good.
to dentist to get some
I know.
counseling.
I need some
pay
help.
better
You
attention.
just, we're gonna have to give you a
I'm gonna
book.
text him in a
Try
minute. See if he can see me next week.
He's got a book for you to read.
Well, out
He's
of your
good.
20 and a half years of marriage, how many of those have been in ministry?
We kind of figured it up. Off and on, we did a lot of lay ministry when we first got married. So I think if you average that along with the years of full time, we figured out about 17 years.
Oh, wow.
Oh, wow.
So just about your whole married life.
You know, but
about-
nearly our whole married life, we've been in ministry together, but she often tells me that she's not impressed with Pastor Rich. And so she goes
You're like
with Rich.
spilling all the secrets.
Yeah.
Like,
So we do ministry together, but I try to get her to call me Pastor Rich at home, and she's like, nah, it's just Rich.
No.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just on Valentine's Day, just call me Pastor, okay?
Okay.
Well,
Not working.
well, how do you balance life between ministry and family?
I mean, you got 4 kids. You're like
Carefully.
even balancing tonight.
That's right.
You were so sweet to even like be at your daughter's soccer game to balance all of that, and that's such a big handle on it, you know. Like
I think that there's a lot of grace that the Lord gives us, and that we also give to one another and our family. And our kids are very gracious in that way, as far as sharing us with the congregation when we're at church. I mean, they realize that that's a day that we spend with other people, and so they're growing up in that. And I think that there's a fun thing to see is they're coming alongside us in ministry and recognizing how to love on kids that are new coming in. But I think the balance is we make sure on Rich's day off that we spend it as a family, that we've said no to a lot of things so that we can say yes to our kids.
And we take our kids on our faith journey with us. So like a few years ago when our oldest turned 12, I took her on a mission trip and got special permission with our global partner, and we took her, and she was a part of supernatural ministry. And so we're trying to on-ramp them into ministry with us. And we go on dates each week. We try to have date nights, and we talk a lot at night when we put the kids down.
That's
so
what I was going to ask. How do you keep not just balance between, ministry, work, family, but how do you keep love alive in all that with 4 kids and just the coming and going? Because I feel like sometimes we'll go to dinner and we'll talk because we see each other, but having a real conversation, it's just kind of in passing.
Yeah.
You got the kids, go here, you go there. How do you keep a spark in your marriage and love alive?
We take dates. One thing, we have found that we love to go and eat somewhere. We love food. We love food. But we do, at least once a week, we'll go out to dinner or go get coffee. But oftentimes when the kids go down, that's when we spend quality time together. And it's either in good weather, we sit on the front porch and drink coffee or something, or we just take the time at night when it's quiet to just kind of debrief our day, to really talk
being
through
intentional
our day.
then about your time. And that is so important because, it's just like when you want to do something with your kids. And I think for me personally, I think of all these lavish things when really they would be happy with a game of Uno.
Yeah.
Something simple.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so
absolutely.
even for adults and couples, just really being intentional with your time and spending time together.
And when our kids were younger, and Eltace was the oldest, we would leave on Sundays for an hour or two, and we would go to Costco, and that was our date. And then as she's gotten a little bit older, we would extend the time, and now we have legit date nights.
We
And
do.
so our world
It's
is
nice
changing.
when
We're
the
living
oldest-
it up. We are living
Yeah,
it
someone
up.
asked me this week if I knew of a babysitter. And I was like, I'm happy to say I don't.
I know.
Isn't it
Because my
nice?
kids have gotten older, and I do miss those times of when they were young, but it's just a different season of when, like, we're going out to dinner tomorrow, and I was like, do you want to take the kids with us? And he was like,
yeah.
is there a Valentine too? Yeah, let's just
Yeah.
all 4 go,
Yeah.
Yes.
So I love that you're so intentional. What is a trait about Rich that, like, stands out to you, something that you love about him that, whether it's, I don't know, since the first time you met him or Pastor Rich. Tell us the real Rich.
Yes, Pastor.
Well, I do think he's very funny, and so all of our life he has sought to impress me with his humor to get me to laugh. But I would say the most important thing I think is that he's a verbal processor. So instead of him just saying like he'll talk with me, and we will have dialogue, which I'm also a verbal processor. So that's why we have every night we need to talk. We need to just get our day out.
Are you saying I'm
and-
emotional?
No, I didn't say that. but
That's what I'm
it's
hearing. That's
good
what I'm
because he listens very well, and we are able to really talk through just about anything. And I think that's been a blessing in our marriage.
And I think the two of you, your personalities are similar to us. We're both extroverts. We love people. We have actually a house of all extroverts at our house. We're like, if we're all 4 just us, we're like, can we invite someone over?
Something's wrong.
Yeah.
But we do that a lot. We've learned through experience in our marriage of what not to talk about. Like, your brain goes to all the things you should have done that day. but really learning, to take that time and talk
Yes.
through, like,
Yes.
how was your day? Or
That's right.
I love that. He's a talker too.
I am a talker.
I love that, Brad.
Well, I appreciate it.
I love that.
So what about you, Rich? What is one trait about JoAnna that you love?
We were childhood sweethearts, and JoAnna came into my life early. I was in middle school, and I'd gone through a difficult time with I lost my father when I was 12 years old, and JoAnna's dad kind of became a spiritual father to me. And so I would hang out a lot with her, and I was first attracted to her spiritual life. I know that sounds like the right answer, but
Pastor Rich.
Pastor
Good
Rich answer.
Right.
But she was always very serious about the Lord, and I'd never seen a young girl so passionate about the Holy Spirit. In fact, one of the first things I remember is her being on a 21-day fast, and I'm like, what is that, and why would you ever do without food for 21 days or 21 minutes? And so I was really intrigued, and then as we've spent time together over the last 20 years of marriage, she has extended grace to me. And I tell people the secret to our success in marriage has been her grace. There have been plenty of times where things that I've processed with her or things that I've shared with her that have been struggles, she could have caused some serious turmoil or allowed what I was doing to cause turmoil. And instead, she would forgive me very quickly, and she would bless me. I often remember a few times where I had hard conversations with things I was struggling with, and she would lay her hands on me and look me in my eyes and say, I forgive you. And I was like, really? That quickly, that easily? And I think that's the one trait that I think has been most attractive to me in her.
I love that.
Yeah.
That makes me love y'all even more. That's so awesome. And that's what the Lord, gives us all different talents and passions about things. And I love that you can see that in each other, what He's done in you. Because, most people that young age would not be doing a 21-day fast of anything.
Right.
But you have always had a heart for the Lord. So we're going to talk to them some more. When we come back, Susan and Dennis is going to sing another song for us called I Stand in Awe.
When I consider what you have made, the mighty oceans, the fiery stars, the fields and forests, give you praise, my Lord, my God. I stand in awe. I stand in awe. I stand in awe of you. When I consider what you have done, I see your suffering, I see your scars, and all the wonder and all the love, my Lord, my God, and I stand in awe. I stand in awe. I stand in awe of you. All glory, all honor, all worship and all praise, all blessing, all power, how worthy is your name.
Thank you guys for that. I wanted to say we do have the first caller of the book was Diane Henderson. So we're going to get that in the mail to you from Dennis and Susan. I hope that you enjoy that. In our last few minutes here, from your guys' experience, what would your advice be to a newly married couple and even a couple that's been married a long time? Like, what would be the one thing that you would say, this is how your marriage is going to last, and it's going to last for a while, forever?
Yeah, that's an interesting question. I think the secret to a strong marriage is to have a personal, quiet time. We now, after 20 years, have our quiet time in the same room together, across the room from each other. I sit in a chair, she sits on the couch. And even when I'm frustrated with her and I sit before the Lord in his presence, he typically shows me something in me when I'm praying about something in her. And so I would say, as I'm pursuing the Lord, I become the kind of husband that I need to be for her. And humility and racing for last and serving her is, I think, the key. Because it's not always about being right. There are plenty of times that I think I'm right, but she just wants to be heard. And so for me to be slow to speak and quick to listen to her, I think I don't do it well a lot, but when I do, it's usually that. And I would encourage couples that the thing that drew you to each other in the beginning, the longer you stay married, the easier it is to drift. So you have to be intentional, like Pastor Dennis and Susan were talking about. An intentional marriage means that you lean in when you want to lean back. And it really takes the power of the Holy Spirit to not make it about you. Because I can quickly make it about me. And strong marriages are when you make it about your spouse and not about you.
Yeah, that's good. So what about singles who are waiting to meet their future spouses?
I would say my advice to women typically is to find a man who is teachable. Not that she needs to teach him, but that he's teachable in life, that if he's willing to listen to a voice of wisdom in his life and learning to grow and mature, then she'll always have someone that will continue to be a leader for her, because he doesn't always have it right, and neither will she, but she can follow a man who's willing to learn.
That's right.
That's good.
That is good.
Good.
And being single, it's a season that there are things that you can receive, there are things that you can do that you can't do when you're married, and especially when you have children. And so I encourage singles all the time to capitalize on this season. It's not a life sentence if you want to get married. Some people are single forever, and there's a grace on them for that. But the singles that long to be married, I encourage them to take their eyes off of their singlehood. It's not a life sentence, it's a season. And seasons are important. And you can get everything out of the season if you begin to ask the Lord, what do you want to do in me while I'm single? And I also would encourage, especially men, to become the kind of husband that they desire to be for the woman that they're dreaming of. And the Lord has a way of working that stuff out and then bringing the right person in his time.
Good advice. I love that. You know, my sister's always told me, anytime I've called and complained about him to her, she's always she's such a wisdom for me. Just pray about it, you know? If you feel like that needs to be changed in his heart, pray about it. Ask the Lord to deal with Brad in the way that he wants to deal. And I've asked the Lord, change me. If there's anything about me that needs to be different. And in all of our years of marriage, the Lord has just been so gracious to just change things, change the situation without causing conflict. Not that we've never had conflict, but he's been there and been gracious to us.
Yeah.
I know we've had many people watching tonight, and people that have called in requests for healing of cancer. Their children had children that have died, and there was someone else. This was her 6th child that had passed. So lots of requests here, and I'd ask Rich if you could just pray over them, and we'll be back in our 9 o'clock hour with Laurel Shaler.
Absolutely. Father, in Jesus' name, I thank you that you are a good father. You're a good bridegroom, which means that you protect and you provide and you give identity. And you know exactly what everyone is going through. Those with broken hearts, you're close to them, you bind up their wounds. Your word says that you put the lonely in families. And so, Lord, those that are watching tonight that are in grief, those that are broken, those that are struggling with sickness, I thank you that we're not twisting your arm to do things. We look back 2,000 years ago when you said, it is finished. And you pinned your son to a cross so that by his stripes we might be healed, not only of cancer, but also of broken hearts. And so today, Holy Spirit, I